So with us now hitting 2024, I thought I'd base my first video of the year on my most anticipated release, talking about why it excites me the most. Director Denis Villeneuve has a long history of making artistically great films, pushing the limits of filmmaking in multiple genres to new levels with his directorial style and narrative motifs intact. And after some great films in 2023, particularly from the auteur scene with that of Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer and Greta Gerwig's Barbie, there's a greater sense that filmmakers who work on the biggest stage can craft films that push filmmaking in exciting new directions, both from a storytelling perspective and from a practical filmmaking one too. Lead that into 2024 with a new Villeneuve movie, and I'm hoping that he can be one of the many filmmakers that strive to give us something boundless in both imagination and ambition. When it comes to his film Dune Part 2, the new installment will dive deeper into the rising powers of Paul Atreides, the growth of his relationship with the Fremen, and their vengeance against the brutal Harkonnens, bringing all the main pillars together in an explosive yet meaningful way too. And with cast additions of Austin Butler as the cunning Fade Rotha, Christopher Walken as the Emperor, and Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, huge talent has been added to an already stacked cast. Part 1 won 6 Academy Awards and was a relative success at the box office, even in the wake of that terrible HBO Max decision during the pandemic to simultaneously stream new releases the day they hit theatres. And with the first film being one of the most rewatched films in the last few years since its release, you can expect Part 2 to have a much wider audience come this March. Now of course, I can't wait to see how Denis captures large-scale sequences such as the Battle of Arrakis and all the war scenes that take place involving multiple sandworms and numerous armies. But I'm particularly intrigued to see how he will adapt the more intellectual moments from the book too, like with say the Water of Life scene, and then make that feel impactful within a war movie template. There's a huge difficulty in pulling some of these moments off, but if anyone can do it, it's Denis Villeneuve, the filmmaker who did so with that first movie. In my opinion, the first Dune was the artistic blockbuster done right, and I expect Part 2 to be more than just your average sequel with lots more action. So hopefully Denis delivers and sets up an expansive Dune universe that can be approached in even more films and TV shows by other quality storytellers and filmmakers in the years after. While Part 1 acted as a sort of laying the table for what's to come, it was also just a great film that really stood on its own as an example of character work when it came to Paul Atreides. It was a film about Paul adapting to the deep desert, and in the process of finding the Fremen, he started to become Paul Muad'Dib. Yes, it was set up for Part 2 just like Fellowship of the Ring was for the Lord of the Rings saga, but it was also a singular film telling the first part of a huge story with so much events to fit into a single adaptation. It was impressive in its own right, and it only touched on the lore and deeper story that's to come in the follow-up. Paul is on a path to achieve his destiny as the messianic Kwisatz Haderach and take vengeance against the brutal Harkonnens following the devastation of House Atreides. Within that storytelling structure, Part 1 was just a starter meal that still had the emotional impact that an individual film should have without feeling like only setup. It introduced the factions and mysteries that will be explored and fully realised come Part 2. It's clear that there are incredible possibilities on the big screen with the characters, cultures and planets we got in that first film, showing us that Paul Atreides' journey is only just beginning. The journey was never complete in A New Hope or Fellowship of the Ring, it was built upon and gave us the payoff we so desired, more context and deeper exploration into the world and characters. After Part 1, Denis Villeneuve can now really dig deep into making something even greater with those foundations in place, and that is very very exciting to think about, especially if you know where this story goes. There's so much to adapt from the genius that Herbert put in his books, and with this new adaptation potentially being a trilogy in the words of the director, just imagine how much further he could take it. As a whole, Dune is in touch with the cinematic experience, one that calls for a sublime presentation of the visual, the sound, and the storytelling through that. Part 1 pulled this off brilliantly, but Part 2 will have the chance to expand, to deliver on expectations, and to give us another classic sequel in the vein of Return of the King or The Empire Strikes Back. The world and the characters have been introduced, the ideals have been set, the filmmaking is strikingly bold, and now all of that can be played with by Denis Villeneuve through the structure he has so fittingly laid out. Making Part 1 was setting the table, and Part 2 will essentially be the full course meal. When it comes to this war film approach that I mentioned before, it cannot be denied that Denis is making Dune Part 2 in a different way to the first one. It's new territory for him because a lot of his sci-fi projects or bigger budget movies have focused on the deeper exploration of characters, their core ideals, or interesting humanistic themes at the centre of them. Yes, he will still aim to achieve that in Part 2, but he's got to do so in the mould of a war film or a Dune sequel with much more action. He spoke about this in interviews for Part 2 leading up to its release, and all the trailers and footage we've seen thus far have really signalled that that is the greater focus of the second film. You may say that this could end up taking away from what so many people loved about Part 1, but what excites me is that Denis can still maintain that level of detail which he did before, but this time with an added sense of war, action, and that eventual payoff. In all of his films, he's kept that level of immersive nuance in multiple ways, so I trust that he can do so with a more action-packed sequel. The trailers themselves promise a level of immersion on a larger scale, rather than just excessive CGI battles that carry little weight, which many blockbuster films do today. We see it in a lot of comic book movies specifically, so I'm hoping that the shift of Part 2 will feel natural. Having read the book and being on board with Villeneuve's adaptation in Part 1 though, I'm sure that this is indeed a key driving structure of the second film, so hopefully it turns out as yes, more action-packed and thrilling, but also really effective on a storytelling level too. If it does fully capture that big turn in Paul Atreides' journey, one revolving around Herbert's original ambition for the Dune story, then the second part will definitely be satisfying. And that turn is the ramifications surrounding Paul's ascension as Emperor. In a reverse to other sci-fi stories like with say Star Wars, it critiques the whole idea of a saviour and shows us that even the most hopeful of messiahs can lead the world to genocide. The very notion of what we are leading towards gives the climax of this film and the rest of the whole potential trilogy more originality when it comes to the idea of the one or the saviour role at the heart of fantasy storytelling. So overall, Dune Part 2 looks to be another example of an artsy event film that aims to be both fascinating, deep, and thrilling. We're getting more of this kind of event film, one that takes risks in the genres they lie in, or ones that try to do spectacle in a more impactful way. Take Oppenheimer last year, the original Dune, The Batman, Top Gun Maverick, or even another sci-fi film like The Creator. Dune Part 2 may be more focused on capturing the climactic war at the end of the novel, but there's many moments at the end of Herbert's book that critique built upon relationships, psychological themes, ecological ideals, or power structures. Like we saw in the trailers, and based on what Denis has said about Part 2, he's looking to keep that level of detail in his character work and the world building just as present. That excites me being a fan of Dune, and I think Part 2 can act in some ways as this year's Oppenheimer, giving audiences a smarter, more exciting, and detailed event film in the science fiction genre that they'll want to rewatch over and over again. So hopefully Dune Part 2 will deliver on all the hype from its marketing campaign and build upon all the greatness we got in that first film. Those and news on Denis Villeneuve's Dune universe, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.